Now, your hosts, Jennifer Fierro and Ben Shields.
Good Tuesday evening. How you doing? Thank you so much for joining us, not only on KBEY 103.9, but also on Northland Channel 15. And Coach Dodge will be joining us here in just a few minutes. Overtime on practice this evening. All right, Jennifer, so a victory for Cedar Park and Marble Falls first district game of the season. 51-34 was the final. Timberwolves on top of the Mustangs. Mustangs, though, did have a great second half.
Oh, you bet. You can't complain about outscoring a team 34-14, especially when you think about the fact that Marble Falls had spotted the Timberwolves a 37-0 halftime advantage. So at the break, you asked during halftime, what really is Coach Dodge telling his players? And it's very simple. He talks about the grind. He talks about staying true. And that's coach speak for, I need more from you. I need to see better effort. I need to know that you guys are giving it everything that you have, and the scoreboard needs to start reflecting that. And I think the guys got the message loud and clear, especially when you consider the fact that they're going up against the defending state champ, who a lot of people should have won the last 3 state championships anyway. And if they had not gone up against Lake Travis, a lot of people think they would be going for their 4th consecutive state title right now.
34 points in the second half for the Marble Falls Mustangs, and I'm sure Coach Dodge at practice this week is preaching, hey, let's put a full 4 quarters together and we'll be okay.
And actually, that's exactly what he said, because that was one of the first questions I had after I had a chance to talk to him, or when I talked to him after the game, rather. And he had a tremendous quote, and what he said was, there's looks of confidence, there's looks of hunger, there's looks of determination. And that's one of the things that he had really talked about in wanting to use these 4 quarters for the next 5 games and this crucial 5-game stretch where you're going to start to see separation from the top 4 teams vying for playoff spots versus the 3 teams that won't be able to get there.
Again, it is the Coach Todd Dodge Show, and he'll be joining us in just a little bit. We'll be going over the highlights here in a while for the Marble Falls Mustangs. And so it was good to see Carson Bowen. He came back for the Marble Falls Mustangs, and he certainly did not disappoint, playing both ways.
Oh, no, he didn't. What we didn't know about Carson until today, I did have a chance to speak with Coach Dodge this morning. Coach Dodge told me that Carson Bowen, the senior who'd been gone, was in 130 plays on Friday night in his first game back. 66 defensive plays. The only reason he wasn't in the 67th is because his helmet came off, and by UIL rules, he had to sit out a play. But 130 plays, he handled the punt duties. He was out on punt returns. He was out playing defensive back. He was out playing in the wide receiver spot vacated by Ty Coffey, who unfortunately suffered a broken foot during the champion loss a couple of weeks ago. So while the Mustangs absolutely missed Ty Coffey, you certainly have to give a lot of credit to Carson Bowen and everything that he brought to the table.
Now, not only does he have a lot of talent, but how important is it that he brings a lot of leadership to this ball team?
Well, as Coach Dodge said on Friday night, Carson Bowen is a man on a mission. And he left me with the impression that Carson realizes, as does this great 2013 seniors, this is their last chance. This is a group of seniors that in the 7th and 8th grade never lost a track meet. This is a group of seniors that really wanted to put their awards, their accomplishments as a class up against some of the best class that Marble Falls High School has produced. I believe that they still have that drive. The question, though, is can they get enough of their players, enough of the great players to continue to play great, enough of the other players to lift up the rest of the team and play at that high level?
What can Coach Salazar do for his defense?
What I've seen from Coach Salazar is a guy who really works very well with the safeties, works incredibly well with the defensive backs. This is a guy who is constantly teaching. If you see him on the sidelines, he is correcting and teaching. He and Ricky Sparks, who's the defensive lineman, the coach of the defensive line, all of those defensive coaches have been putting in a lot of time and effort. I think it's just a matter of getting the boys. Somebody said that defense is about emotion. It's about getting the boys to really just start reacting and less about them thinking out there.
All right, and Zuri Buchanan, not only did he play offensively, but he started defensively as well last Friday.
Absolutely. And, when Coach Dodge talks about creating depth, one way to do that is to cross-train however many players you think you're going to need to play on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball. We saw that with Zuri. Aiden Parnell is one of those guys. Carson Bowen is one of those guys. J.T. Watson is one of those guys. So, and then we also know that Garrett Gray has also spent some time as a defensive back here lately. So all of those things, when you talk about creating depth, especially with a kid like Zuri Buchanan, and Zuri's actually told me he really loves playing linebacker because you're a ball hawk. You just find where the ball is and you zero in on that. He's physical, he's strong, he's fast to the ball, he has great hands. Boy, what a weapon for the Mustangs with Zuri Buchanan, as is all those other guys I just mentioned.
Again, it is the Coach Todd Dodge Show, brought to you by Discount Beds and More in Marble Falls, and he'll be joining us here in just a little bit, getting some practice in, getting ready for the Leander Rouse Raiders. The Rouse Raiders, they are 2-0 in district play, so again, we'll have more on the Raiders when Coach Todd Dodge gets to the KBEY studios. Coming up, we've got highlights from last week's ball game for the Marble Falls Mustangs. It's the Coach Todd Dodge Show, brought to you by Discount Beds and More in Marble Falls. Thank you so much for joining us this evening on the Coach Todd Dodge Show. He'll be joining us here in just a little bit, getting some practice in, getting ready for the Leander Rouse Raiders. And it's brought to you by Discount Beds and More. Again, we invite you to come on out this evening here at 1007 Avenue K. If you got a question for Coach Todd Dodge, you can go to our website, KBEY-FM.com. You'll see on the front page there where you can click on and ask Coach Dodge your question. That's KBEY-FM.com. All right, Jennifer. So the Marble Falls Mustangs, they're able to get on the board early in the second half, and they put a barrage of points in that second half.
Here's going to be Wooten in the shotgun with Jerome to his left, Buchanan and Carson Bowen to the left. We've got J.T. Watson and Gray out wide to the right. As they go to Gray here, let's see, on third down. Snap back to Wooten. He looks right. Goes for Gray on the sand. He's got it to the 5, to his right. Touchdown. Touchdown Mustangs. Wooten to Gray. 16 yards, and the Mustangs on the board, 37-6 with 8:56 to go in the third quarter, a 59-yard drive.
Well, we saw Wooten hit Gray a couple times before the half. They go to him early in the second half, and they hit pay dirt.
Absolutely, and one of the best things about Garrett Gray is the big question. We always knew that Garrett was fast, and we always knew that Garrett had great hands. What we've also seen from Garrett in the last few weeks is how physical he is. And what I mean by that, he has been double and triple teamed. He gets a lot of attention, but his ability to go up and snag the ball, to haul that ball in, even though people are hanging on every limb, they are trying to do everything they can to keep him from catching that ball. Boy, it says a lot about how physical he is and how just a tremendous athlete. Of course, that was a 5-play drive. It took about 2 minutes to complete for the Mustangs.
And then the Mustangs, the defense, they recover a fumble, and again, they find the end zone.
Wooten in the shotgun, Jerome to his left, 2 wides to the left, 2 are out wide to the right on third down at the Cedar Park 17. Wooten has the ball. The throw, here's pressure. Rolling out to his right. He's going to throw for the end zone. He's got it. Touchdown on the sideline. Kept his feet in, and the Mustangs back on the board. Aiden Parnell coming up with the catch, who just came in the ball game.
And there you have it, Aiden Parnell. That was like his first or second play for the Marble Falls Mustangs on the offensive side, and he's able to score.
Absolutely, but instead of me telling you about that, we're going to let the expert over here talk about Aiden's great touchdown catch and his ability to stay with Brennan as Brennan's trying to stay inbound and all that stuff.
All right, Coach. So it was great to see Aiden come in the ball game and make a nice catch to get that 1 foot down. Actually got both feet in the end zone.
Well, it absolutely is. Aiden has done a tremendous job for us on the defensive side of the ball, and played a whole bunch of offense last year. And him and JT, as we went through the spring, they kind of were interchangeable at corner and at slot receiver. And as we've started our season, it's in the best interest of us to play Aiden more on the defense side of the ball. But he stepped up big in that, and Brennan, scrambled, and Aiden found a spot in the back of the end zone there, and it was a huge play for us.
And then Brennan again, he's able to find another receiver this time, Zuri, for a touchdown.
Wooten in the shotgun, Jerome to his left, quick pass right side, Buchanan turns it up to 30, first down, still up to 20, he's going to go the 10, the 5, touchdown. Wooten to Zuri Buchanan. Touchdown Mustangs, 34 yards, and it makes it 44-19 with 9:28 to go.
Coach, the offense really got on the roll in that second half.
Well, we had to. The bottom line is that we dug ourselves quite a hole as a football team, and the thing that we had to do is take that first possession. We got our kickoff team went down and held them inside the 25. The defense got to stop, and offense turned into points, and then we got on a roll and started doing what we're capable of doing. It was really good as the night went on to see us run the ball the way that we did and get Keith Jerome back, being the physical presence that he can be. And our offensive line really grinded, throughout that particular play right there. Zuri is a guy that is a very versatile athlete, both sides of the ball. Has an ability to make people miss and is really good. Because of it, he's really a running back by trade. We moved him to receiver, and he's great after the catch.
Talking about Keith Jerome, he gets into the scoring fun.
First down and goal, pistol formation. Wooten has a snap, turns, give Jerome, plunges for the end zone, touchdown. 2-yard touchdown plunge for Keith. Makes it 51-26 with 4:02 to go in the ball game.
Nice power by the offensive line, helping KJ to find the end zone.
Well, the entire second half, and some in the first half. We had some nice gains in the first half, but the second half was one that our team just started grinding. Along with some execution, we started being a lot more physical in the offensive line, and that's what it's going to take down the stretch. Is taking a tremendous effort, tremendous physical effort, along with assignment football. But we've got a weapon. We figure out what KJ does the best. He's a power runner. And he loves to get behind his pads, and when he does, he can be trouble for folks.
And then one more touchdown for the Mustangs as Brennan Wooten finds J.T. Watson, and that'd be the scoring for Marble Falls. Cedar Park wins 51-34. All right, Coach, before you go to a break, just your thoughts real quick on that ball game, especially the second half, how your team rallied.
Well, it's one of those deals that you talk with them again, at halftime about taking the first part of the second half and doing what we can control to get back in the thing. But, it just really looked everybody in the eyes, made them look each other in the eyes, and kind of, kind of a pact. We're not quitting, we're not going to belly up. We're going to play harder than we did, play better than we did. And we did. We didn't come up with a new offense. We didn't come up with a new defense. Made some decent halftime adjustments within things what we do. Our kids were coachable at halftime. But I told them after the game that you see scores all over the state of Texas that end up 63-0, 70-0. And I'm sure at some point in that game the team that got beat that bad was down 35-37 to 0 halftime and maybe just, gave up the ship. And our kids did not. No moral victories, but there's a lot that we can gain from that game. And, there's not a whole lot of people play the defending state champions within 17 like that and able to move the ball like we did on them and stop them at times. And so, we've got to take that momentum into this next game.
It is the Coach Todd Dodge Show on KBEY 103.9 and Northland Channel 15. Thank you so much for tuning in this evening. It is brought to you by Discount Beds and More. We'll get Coach's thoughts on the Leander Rouse Raiders coming up after this. Appreciate you joining the Coach Todd Dodge Show this evening on KBEY 103.9 and Northland Channel 15. It is brought to you by Discount Beds and More. So the Leander Rouse Raiders come to town for homecoming Friday evening. And, Coach, they come in at 2-0 in district play and also a playoff semifinal team from last year.
I think that's impressive about Coach Mann and his team that he has. This is only their fourth year of varsity. They did a great job of developing that young program early, and last year had a whole bunch of 3-year starters for them. But now they don't have just a ton of starters returning from last year's team. But they're playing with a lot of confidence, and that's what happens with teams when you go 5 rounds deep in the playoffs. They had 5 extra weeks of practice, with younger players, and so it's showing as this season has started.
And their top player?
Their top player, of course, Billy Ray McCrary. He is a junior athlete, from what I understand. The main thing about McCrary is he has the ability to line up in multiple positions, but Coach and I talked about this. The thought is that he may or may not play. Coach, your thoughts on that?
Well, we obviously understand that Billy injured a hand, thumb. As our scouts told us that we're at the game last week. He went out, came back as a running back. We're expecting him to play. That we can't let our guard down and just take it that a guy of that caliber is not going to play, and so we're preparing. The thing that he can do is, obviously, he is their quarterback. He played running back for them for a whole bunch of games last year. And as I told you today, Jennifer, he reminds me of some people around here may or may not know, but remember this guy, but a guy named Rex Burkhead out of Plano High School that was been running back for Nebraska. He's now playing NFL with somebody. Billy Ray reminds me of him because I remember when we were at South Lake, we played Plano when Rex was very young, and he was a guy that played receiver. He played quarterback at times. He played running back. He started at safety as a freshman for him. Just a guy that could play a lot of different positions. So, what a great athlete that Billy Ray McCrary is.
Obviously, Coach, Billy Ray, he has completed 29 of 53 passes for 506 yards, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions, 98 rushes, 446 yards, and 9 touchdowns on the season. But as you mentioned, Rouse has more than one weapon. Yeah. Wesley Geisler, number 12, who lined up at wide receiver and I believe to move to quarterback once Billy Ray had to move positions.
Well, number 12, Wesley Geisler, is definitely their number 2 guy. He started at wide receiver. I got a chance to see him play, chance to see him warm up before the game. He throws the ball well. It obviously came in against Leander and played well for them. So they've got about 2,300 students in school. They got a lot of football players. They got a lot of people to choose from. And Andre Alger, the number 3, the running back, very impressive guy. Got a couple starters returning. An offensive line, big wide receiver, Zach Ayers. He's about 6'6", probably about 195 pounds, big target. So, yeah, they've definitely got more weapons than just number 4.
And going back to Billy Ray, how tough is it to prepare for a dual-threat quarterback? He's almost even in passing and rushing yardage.
Yeah, it really is from the standpoint of the guy. When a guy that is that athletic touches the ball 100% of the time, and is a true dual threat, can be a distributor to other people, and then also be a guy who is a very elusive and physical runner. There's a reason why they're 5-1 right now.
Again, a semifinal team from last year's playoffs. That's the Leander Rouse Raiders. Coach, what have y'all been doing this week in practice?
Well, on the offensive side of the ball, we continue to do what we do and continue to hone our skills. Brennan's been a little banged up. We've been, holding him out a little bit. Got Carson Bowen a little bit more work at quarterback, which is good for us down the stretch. Brennan's going to be fine for Friday night, but his shoulder's a little bit sore. Just getting the players. We've started to double train some players on offense and defense and get them more and more acclimated, to being able to handle playing on both sides of the ball. People may not realize, but Carson Bowen played 130 snaps the other night. Zuri Buchanan played 112 snaps the other night of football, and that's
wow.
Those 2 warriors right there.
Going back to the 130 snaps, he hasn't played all season long. How tough is that to come in as your first game and play 130 snaps?
He's special. He is really, Marble Falls. The town of Marble Falls really, needs to kind of take inventory, so to speak, for a lack of better terms, of a guy that is one that comes around very, very few, that has that kind of mindset, that absolutely wants to do it. And, I wrote, one of the local newspapers, asked me today about dual sides of ball players. Said Carson Bowen, 16 tackles, 9 catches, 125 yards, and 130 snaps, and punted 5 times for 45-yard average. And this was the first game that he played.
I think he had a punter that went over 60 yards.
He's just he's the kind of guy that we got to have more of him. The attitude here is he's got about 5 reasons in his pocket on everything he does on why he's going to be successful instead of why he may not be successful, why he can't do this. He's last year, he long jumped for the first time, ended up winning a district championship. He was about an eighth of an inch from going to be in the finals to go to the state track meet last year. That's just a kind of young. He's a good, really good, solid athlete, but he's a very mentally tough athlete.
So it's talking about with not only is he talented, but also a good leader on the field.
Yeah, by example, definitely. He'll make us better just by his presence.
Coach, I did want to switch gears, talk a little bit about the district standings. Cedar Park, Rouse, and Vandergrift all tied for first place at 2-0 each. Vista Ridge and Marble Falls at 1-1. Leander and Dripping Springs at 2-2. I know it's still early, but your thoughts after 2 weeks of district play?
Well, Cedar Park, they're the creme de la creme, no doubt. Very, very impressive football team. That is one of the better looking high school football teams that you'll see. As far as they're a very tall, long team. Obviously, Rouse has taken a lot of confidence off of last year. The one that I think, I haven't seen them personally play, but the one that seems to be the most improved is probably Vandergrift. They've really got them playing well. Here after 2 weeks of district play, it's the same old District 25 4A. It's one of the toughest ones that we always talk about in the state of Texas.
You'll see the Vipers next week. It is the Coach Todd Dodge Show, brought to you by Discount Beds and more. When we come back, we'll wrap it up. It is on KBEY 103.9, Texas Best Country, and Northland Channel 15. Thank you so much for joining us on Northland Channel 15 and KBEY 103.9. Big thanks to Discount Beds and more as well in Marble Falls on Highway 1431. All right, Coach Dodge, let's go to the fan questions. And got a question from Jordan from Marble Falls. Wants to know, can the defense give you enough to get into the playoffs?
I believe that we can. We're going to have to, we've got to get to where we get more stops. We've got to wrap ourselves around what happened in the second half last week. There were times that Cedar Park was making some personnel changes, but not wholesale, and we were able to make some stops and get some confidence. We got to do some more of that. We don't have to just here overnight be just the best defense in the district. We just got to be functional. We've got to get stops. We've got to force some punts, force some 3 and outs, and so I hold out great expectations that we're going to get better.
And Linda from Spicewood, she wants to know, what's the secret of a good relationship between a coach and his quarterback?
You spend a lot of time together. There's a trust. You got to, in my case with my guys, I've been fortunate and blessed to have been everywhere that they've been as far as the ups and downs that a quarterback goes through. I understand that when you touch it 100% of the time, you got a chance to make plays. You don't get too high with your highs or low with your lows. Understand that I try not to ever undermine their leadership ability on the field. I'm not a guy that jumps them. Now they get the tail jump behind closed doors a lot of times if we need to make corrections, things like that. But and one of the things is through the years that it's kind of neat. All of the guys that have played for me through the years, there's a little unwritten fraternity. I know Chase Daniel text message Brennan last week. Or the week before the Burnett game, and wished him good luck. And we've got a deal we always talk about: light him up like roasted duck. And I always tell Brennan that. He looks at me like I'm crazy. And I say, well, that's been a deal, all the time with our quarterbacks. And Chase, all the way from Kansas City, Missouri, texts him, light him up like roasted duck, and the kid goes out and throws 6 touchdown passes against Burnett.
How big of a deal is that for Brennan, just a sophomore, to have an NFL quarterback give him a text, a little vote of confidence?
Well, that's just the way. That's the kind of young men that we've had. Chase is that kind of guy. He has always taken a lot of ownership into younger quarterbacks that, after he left and went to Missouri and went to the Saints, he's always kept in touch with the quarterbacks that have come after him, in our program, whether it was at Southlake or other places.
Coach, you have a picture in your office with you and about 4 or 5 other quarterbacks. Can you tell us who's in the picture and talk a little bit about that photo?
The picture is of Chase Wasson, our quarterback at 2002 state championship team. Chase Daniel, 2003, 2004. He led us to the state championship twice. Then you had Greg McElroy, who is with the Bengals now. He was our 2005, and then my son Riley Dodge, who was 2006, 2007. And the picture represents 4 different guys that started in 4 different state championship games for us. But it also represents 6, actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 consecutive years of the 5A Player of the Year in the state of Texas. So it's pretty special.
And then Greg McElroy, a Rhodes Scholar too, I believe.
Yes, he is. He is at Alabama, yes.
What impresses you more, their arm strength or their how smart they are, Coach?
Well, probably their passion for the game. You know, every one of them, I call every one of them a brown bagger. You know, that means that they bring their lunch to school every day. They come to my office. They don't eat lunch in the cafeteria. They come and we watch video and they get better. And Brennan Wooten, unsolicited by me, you know, every one of them unsolicited. It's a tradition. That's what you do. And he's definitely falling in the lines of all of those other guys.
This has been the Coach Todd Dodge Show. It's homecoming Friday night against Leander Rouse, so be sure and bring all your friends and family. Have a great time at Mustang Stadium. Coach, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you all so much. Have a great week.
All right, I want you to join us the next Tuesday evening at 7 o'clock. We'll be moving the Coach Todd Dodge Show to 7 o'clock, so be sure and tune in on KBEY 103.9, Northland Channel 15, and come on out to the KBEY Studios, 1007 Avenue K, and join in on the fun. And also want to say a big thanks to our sponsor. It's Discount Beds and More on Highway 1431 in Marble Falls. Until next time, have a great night.